Hey folks, it's Arthur, but really only strangers call me that. My friends call me Archie, so please call me Archie. This podcast is sponsored by you. If you have a more personal situation you want me to give my in-depth commentary on, send me an email at askarchiedating@gmail.com. I'm thankful for all donations that keep this channel running. All right, guys, let's get into it. So today, the topic of discussion is, does my ex think I'm low value? This is a really interesting question. I got an email recently that a person had been broken up with. This was probably a few weeks ago, actually. But I was speaking with this person again. And yeah, they told me that they'd been broken up with. And they're talking me through the situation that they're going through. They're talking me through what it was like to reach back out and what it was like to meet with their ex again, And I think a lot of us have shared this similar experience where there is a breakup. You're a bit confused as to what's happening and you're trying to level with the person. You're trying to understand the person. And maybe, you have some intentions of getting back with the person. I don't see anything wrong with that, And so you meet with this person after, and this person is a bit rude. This person is kind of scoffing at you, or they don't have, they don't really value, you can tell that they don't really value what you're saying. They're not really listening to you. And, we perceive this. Sometimes it's not so rude and we perceive it as being rude, right? Because this is how we would perceive this in a different conversation. A person who is dismissing us or is hesitant to listen to us, this I would, perceive it as rude, right? But this isn't always the case, right? So what ends up happening, I want to share with you guys a story, actually. What ends up happening is that there was a girl that I knew that actually I was friends with in high school. And this girl had a boyfriend that was, kind of long-term. It was, it was short to long-term. It was about 8 months, I think, is their relationship. It went from, the beginning of the year to almost the end of the year, fall, around that time. And so he was making a lot of effort, a lot of investment into this relationship. And she was still evaluating what path she would go down in life. And so obviously, he is wanting something of more commitment, and she is still wanting to shop around and to look around and explore and maybe be more independent and have this different type of lifestyle. And so we talked about this before, right? When relationships are breaking up, generally the main reason this is happening is because the two people involved are not sharing the same vision. And so his vision is one of commitment, is one of being together and having this committed relationship where they're putting in all this effort. And she told me he was wanting to get married and he was, he had all of this invested into the relationship. Whereas she was enjoying her life. She had plans to travel. She had plans to be with her sister and meet so-and-so in New York and all this, And so her vision is elsewhere. He is like dead, focused on this commitment, and her vision is elsewhere, right? And so she decides that, he's, in her words, he's being too pushy, right? What does she mean by this, right? She means he is imposing his vision on her vision, right? And people don't like that. People don't like when you have an idea and you impose this idea on another person. It takes away their ability, their autonomy, their ability to decide for themselves. And so they don't like that and they will push back against that. And so after 8 months, she decided that she wanted to break things off because he was getting a little bit too serious, right? And that's what he wanted. He wanted to be serious, and she wasn't so interested in this. And so she breaks things off, and what does he do? The most common things that people do when they break up. And I'm not judging. Everyone, I think, has done this in their life, and I understand this, right? When you lose something that is really important to you and it's really important to your future, you will act in ways that make you look a bit desperate, right? Because you are. You're desperate to keep your future. You're desperate to keep your plan on the same track. And so you will do things that are a bit desperate. And so he had, some sort of ring or something like that. It wasn't a diamond ring, but it was like a less expensive ring. And so he offered it to her. And he said, this is a sign of my commitment to you. And I want you to stay with me. And so she is just pushing back against this as well, because it is the exact same reason why she's deciding to break up. He's looking for something serious. She has a different vision, right? And so he continues to impose his vision, and she continues to push back against his vision. And so what happens? She decides to break up with him and go no contact for a few days. And then he messages her phone, and he calls her, and he, DMs her on Instagram and Facebook, and reaches out to her mom and her sister and her dog and everybody, right? And he does this with the purpose of holding on to the future that he was expecting to have, that he was really hoping to have, that he was invested in. And so he's holding on to her. And I understand this from his point of view, but from her point of view, this is a desperate attempt to win her back when she has decided that she's not into this anymore, And so from her point of view, he looks desperate, he looks anxious, he looks uncontrolled. And this is a big turnoff because she's interpreting this like how he deals with problems. She's interpreting this like, wow, okay, like I break up with this guy and immediately he is doing all of these desperate attempts to get me back and win my attention and things like this. And she's not having it, right? He looks emotionally uncontrolled, and there are things that for her, she will interpret them in a way, because like we talked about in previous episodes, she's pushing you away, she's making these efforts to push you away. And so she's going to have all of these attempts to reach back out to her. And these are going to be, instead of lovely attempts from this person, which is how they usually are intended to be, as really nice attempts to show this person how much you care for them, she interprets this instead as confirming why she shouldn't be with him. Confirming that he is a person that she might interpret it as he's trying to manipulate her, as he is giving her these warning signs, these red flags of being a kid who is uncontrolled, is unhinged, and she's going to interpret this in the wrong way, unfortunately, right? I wish that it was the case that a person wouldn't interpret it this way, that they would interpret it for what it's worth, for what it means, and interpret, almost everyone does this, that they send a letter or something, or they have some sort of grand gesture after they've been broken up with, and the woman interprets this usually not in a positive way. She's usually interpreting this in a really negative light. And so this is why, you have to pay attention to that before you do that. How is this going to be interpreted? And so part of the interesting part of like, how does she see you after? It really depends on how you conduct yourself. And this depends on what is your level of empathy and what is your level of self-respect. In terms of empathy, do you know how she's feeling? The moment that she brings up breaking up with you, or the moment that she brings up wanting to be friends or whatever, we need to talk, she probably has talked about it in the past, but she's left you with little breadcrumbs or something like that. Like, hey, I don't think that I like this. I don't think that, we're moving too fast. When people say we're moving too fast, it's more of like, I'm not so interested in all this commitment. I have a different vision. I don't want to lose my independence. Usually this is what these breadcrumbs are signifying. And so we are so focused on what we want. We're so focused on the commitment, on the relationship, on maybe tying this person down a bit and making sure that they're there for our future and we can count on them, that we forget to feel empathy for this person. We forget to understand what they might be going through and see things through their eyes. And so when you see that someone is breadcrumbing, when you see that someone is wanting to have a serious talk with you, the first feeling you have is this of anxiety, of my future. If she breaks up with me, I don't know what will happen in the future. Okay? And so how do we take a step back from this? And instead of thinking and being on high alert, how is she going to, what is my future going to look like? Let's take a step back, and how do we understand what she's saying, understand what the vision that she's giving us, right? Part of this is developing a positive outlook on life. And this isn't so easy to do. But having this confidence, having these experiences in your life that tell you I'm going to be okay with or without this person. You know, it's very romantic, it's very lovey-dovey to say, I need you, I can't live without you. These are all such romantic things. You're like air, I can't live without you. But really, as you are saying these things, you're creating a dependence to this person and saying quite literally that without them, you don't have a future. And so try to understand your own perspective, try to understand the things that are influencing you, and come up with a way that you can have a healthy perspective on life with or without this person. Have them be a joy in your life. Have them be a part of your life that you like and you love and you want to be a part of. But in the back burner, or in a more general sense, in a broader world perspective, have a life that you're okay with losing things. This is going to happen in life. Unfortunately, this is, a sad pattern of life, is that we have things in our life that we enjoy, that we like, a puppy or, a possession like a car or a girl or a boy or something, things in our life that we like. And really the only truth in life is death and taxes. And so things in our life will go away. Our possessions, the people in our life that we wish, that we want them to be there forever, unfortunately will not be there forever. They will leave, their breakups happen, people die, and you don't have to have a pessimistic view on this in life, but instead you can say, that's okay. I understand. I accept that is a part of life. I accept that the things that I care about will not always be part of my life, but I can still care about them and I can still have a positive outlook on the future. And I think this is such an important thing to have in mind, an important mindset to have when approaching any relationship. You want to be there for the person in the present. When a person tells you, I'm feeling this or I'm feeling that, you don't want the first thing to think about is this anxiety of, are they going to break up with me? You want to be in a position in your life where you have a positive outlook on life and where you are able to listen to them instead of just feeling your own sense of anxiety. Listen to what they're saying. This is going to make your communication so much better. This is going to make you value this person and be able to shift. Because honestly, if she has one direction and you have another direction, someone is going to have to shift or the relationship isn't going to work out, right? And sometimes that happens. The relationship doesn't work out and it's going to be okay. You lived before she was around or he was around. You will live after he's around or she was around. You have to find a way of being content with your life, with just you, because all of the other things might not last. Don't have a pessimistic view on this, right? Just accept that this is a part of reality and find a way to enjoy your life despite this. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Remember, you're enough. You're going to be okay.